Hello and welcome. This is Pepin from Pepin Reacts, and here today we have another great, fantastic reaction to a show that we watched called Breaking Bad. Now, I got with me my best friend, Meader. Meader, how you doing?
Hey, I'm here too.
Oh, yes you are. And today, I think this episode will be very exciting. We got the Twins of Doom. We got Walt being on his own, wearing Steve Jobs attire. I mean, but I think nothing is really going to overshadow the controversy that has befallen upon us.
Yeah. Upon the show or upon our show or your
Upon
show?
our show. And
Oh.
I'm not gonna place the blame here, but
Well,
Meter,
I mean, it's my fault, obviously.
yeah. I mean, let's just say it's our fault, but we all know whose fault it really is.
Yeah, we all know this one's squarely on my shoulders, but
Mm-hmm.
we all make choices in life, and sometimes those choices exist.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, for context, for anyone who doesn't know, we released an episode recently as the character rankings for season 2, and it's a 2-hour video. And I know you guys all watched all 2 hours. And there's a certain point that got a lot of negative comments, and it was when Meter ranked a certain character. Let's just say it begins with a Lewis and ends with God, as a Badger tier.
Yeah.
And I'll just read a couple comments here. One,
Okay.
from Pluck Cutie 469. How could you? How dare you? I don't trust you anymore.
I feel really bad for disappointing Butt Plug Kitty.
I mean, what are you gonna do? I mean, I told you it was a bad decision. I even asked you after if we could cut it out, and you said no. Gotta keep it in.
I stand by it. I just feel bad that it's had this effect on superfan Butt Plug Cutie.
We got another comment here from Rocket Daily Danger. They say, I'm not sure if it's a guy or girl, but they say, I used to like this show, but now I don't know how I feel. My evening has been ruined, and it's all your fault, Pepin
Yeah.
and Meter. Like,
Wow.
why does he bring me into this? I didn't do it.
Don't drag Pepin's name through the mud just because I made a contrasting decision to put Lewis where he belonged.
See, I understand you're trying to take this from the clickbait perspective, but it's not working because you just piss people off.
Well, maybe they need to be pissed off then to see the truth.
So I think we just need a moment for you to address your shame and to take back everything you said.
I am addressing my shame. I, Meter, fully stand by everything I've said and in no way take any of it back. Deal with it.
Okay,
I
so
think that does it, right?
as you heard, Meter did apologize for everything he did, and he also admitted to the fact that he hasn't slept at nights over this because he just felt so bad about how he has affected all y'all. So I think with that, we're gonna get into the episode, and I just hope that we can win back your trust. And when I say we, I mean like like at least if I lost your trust, let me just lose trust in Meter, not me, because it's I don't want to be alone.
Okay. Jesus.
we'll, get, we'll get started in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's America.
How can you tell?
This song is Horse with No Name by America.
Does he have all the money with him? Probably. I like how he's still singing it. Oh, he's not good. Yeah.
Down means off.
You should have
Why
said
didn't you
off
say
then.
off?
Yeah, I mean.
This morning.
Well, this was from Wayfarer 515. My house was in the debris field. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
That's-
Why haven't you
That's
fixed
what
it?
shattered my windshield. Some piece of wreckage from the plane.
I understand. Sir, what you need to do is take a
Now,
deep breath.
This is
calm
America,
down, and
okay?
get back in
I
the
have
car right
rights.
now.
Do you understand that? At least have the common decency to hear me
I need
out.
you to step back right
We've
now.
kind of seen this
Hear what
part
I
of his
said?
personality
Calm
before.
down.
Giving me a ticket? I told you that my house was in the debris field. You have the remotest inkling of what that means.
Sir, calm down.
Hellfire rained down on my
Sir,
house
I need
where
you
my
to step
children
back. I
sleep.
need you to step.
Pepper spray the man who's expressing his opinion under the First Amendment.
What was he expecting? Hey, yeah, when I said that, like, this season, Walt's gonna be down on his luck, kind of like Jessie was last time. Seems kind of accurate so far.
Was this luck?
Oh, is an expression, down on your luck.
I guess.
9 illegals. No sign of the shooters.
So this truck was carrying more than just people. What are we looking at?
See, we got a connection with the
Looks like
twins.
they were transporting narcotics.
Why did the Border Patrol?
I'm highly certain the twins aren't part of.
You ask me, this is high
Los Pollos.
Los Santos, maybe. Z.
Like, why would Gus call them in all the way from Mexico when he could just have use his own men, like there?
One of those extra crispies. Do something he shouldn't.
Those extra crispies, that's a little bit grotesque.
On that famous blue meth of yours.
Catch some bad guys. Trader.
He's a decent leader. Oh, come
mean,
on.
For him to pull that file without being notified about it was pretty interesting.
He just does not look the same, like shaven. Or is he coming back here? Is this his apartment? This is his old place. I see. That's right. His mom and dad are selling it.
Fixing up the house, huh?
Just looking for a place to stay. That looks like a pretty decent place too.
All balance. It's cool.
You doing okay?
Okay, yeah. So he's worried.
Yeah, I'm good. I just happened to be driving by and
All redone. New tiles in the bathrooms and kitchens, granite countertops, new appliances, all top of the line.
Nice.
it's great, Dad. Think I can get a tour?
These guys are trying to finish up. Maybe we better stay out of their way.
Is Jesse trying to get in on this, or is
There are
he
pictures on the website if you
Yeah.
want to take a look.
on the website? Oh, he's got some money. He could actually buy this house outright.
Cool.
Especially
Looking healthy.
in the 2006, 2007 marketplace.
Thanks. You know, I could come by sometime for dinner or something.
Yeah. Sometime.
Not yet.
Okay. Later, Dad.
I don't think his parents would accept an offer from him on the house, though. Maybe they would, but I think they'd question where he got the money. Hank's coming for the
Hey,
rescue.
Walt, remember Officer Kavanaugh?
Is he gonna make him apologize?
Officer, I'm very sorry that I lost my temper. There's no excuse for my behavior. It was disrespectful.
I mean, not inaccurate. Well, it's nice that Hank's willing to give him a hand. See, we're going back to the vision here, too, because he gets pepper sprayed in the eyes.
She doesn't want me to see the kids.
How does
Said that?
Hank feel? Hank doesn't like that.
She's not going to the cops. She's not going to tell a living soul. You want to know why? One word. Blowback.
Blowback.
If she blabs, it'll be a disaster for her.
Saul was like way too smart.
Going to the police is not the point, Saul. She's out of my life. Do you understand?
He speaks
I've lost
business.
my family.
You've been out of circulation for a while. You'll be just amazed at what's out there.
You've been out of circulation.
Czech Republic. Those women are so grateful to even be here.
He's almost kind of comparing him to money. Like he is the currency here.
In the meantime, idle hands are the devil's plaything. So get back on the horse and do what you do best. First step, talk to our friend and get cooking.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't talk to Gus. See, Saul has a business interest here. You can't be the bad guy. Does not compute.
I can't be the bad guy.
Okay.
We got these blinds again. And they are vertical blinds, so it is kind of like a prison metaphor.
Oh, those are horizontal blinds. What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Which
Actually,
is the opposite of prison bars.
listen, I just I'm sideways right now.
Oh, okay.
Saul does not seem very happy. It's possible Saul might sell him out. Seems unlikely. Wouldn't be good to double cross the cleaner. Saul was worried about getting traced back to him. So he was talking down Walt. But it's just to get Walt to be out of the way.
Hey,
This is how he dealt with stress the last time. There's a parallel here because Walt raised money for his family and his family doesn't get to use it. And then Walt Jr. raised money for his family, i.e. Walt, and he doesn't get to use it. We've got Blake's. One of Blake's also. Oh, Hank's gonna bring something up here. Or actually, Marie might. It's gonna be Hank.
What? I've had enough trans fat for one lifetime.
2-day drive from the nearest ocean.
She brought her own stuff.
Fish.
You know, Flynn here is
Flynn.
looking for a part-time job, so I don't know if you know of anything you might want to.
My name's Walter Jr.
Hmm.
Like what? You can't even say his name.
Sky,
And Hank knew about this because of what was said.
my business.
That's right, she did say okay. Yeah. And she can't say because Hank is in the DEA.
It's none of your business.
I mean, they are just like helping you out every step of the way.
Oh my God!
And you're rude about it?
Please tell me that you are still not curious.
It's nothing to be curious about. He acts up. Steps in.
Gets with another girl.
And the wife, she catches him. I mean, it's a story as old as time.
It's a pretty nice
Do the math
idea.
way, only comes out one way. No, Aldi felt so guilty, probably told her himself.
Yeah, I don't know. I think if he cheated on her, then she would have told me by now. It just feels like something more.
Marie has very good people sense.
It's also her sister.
It's true.
So there's a little bit extra there, but
Yes,
otherwise I agree with you.
24/7 coverage. Need you ask?
That's
Turn
a
of the
code
Pride.
phrase, I guess.
Welcome back to the land of the living. How you feeling?
Good.
Of course you are. The world's your oyster, am I right? You know what's giving me heartburn lately? Your former partner, this guy. He works like a bastard, right? Builds a business single-handed. Finally, the big money shows up, and what does he do? He walks out. Talent like that, and flushes it down the crapper. It's like Michelangelo won't paint. Look, I know you're out of it and all, but you wouldn't talk to him, would you? Help him pull his head out of his ass. All right, scratch that. Yeah, he won't listen to me. He's
Counting his money.
all due respect.
You want a job?
A job? Who's got a job for me?
I do.
I like how that stopped us talking instantly.
Saul was just getting so confused this episode. Ooh. Are we going to see another baptism? This isn't his pool, right?
This is the pool, the community pool of where he lives.
Okay, that's what I thought. See, we're going back to this metaphor of, like, clean water. Like, there was the issue with the water thing in his house that he fixed. It has some significance, but I don't know what exactly. I guess he probably feels... Oh, get an idea there. Oh, okay. The idea is to talk to his son. Ooh, whose birthday is it? It's, that guy. She has very refined wrinkles. Oh, well. We have, the twins? What else to call them?
That's a good thing to call them.
The twins. And they, at some point, got some suits, so they have access to money, we'd assume. Oh, Tio. I see. Oh, that would make sense. Yeah, so this is the third player, is, Tio, because he did say his cousins were going to come up and kind of, do something. So Tio might be the one that kind of contacted, somehow. They're playing with a Ouija board. I mean, we have kind of established they like to cover their tracks. Oh, he's got some anger. Walter White. Well, they know. So I assume we sent a line down to them.
Hey, if you don't mind.
No.
Oh.
You don't,
It's Creepy Ted. I have that same lamp.
I just needed some more space to spread out.
Just want to say a little wow here. Hey, girl. Hi, Spooky. Oh, it's okay.
Hey, thanks for being so flexible and me coming in.
Flexible?
I just wish I had you back full time. You two brighten up the place.
Ooh, that was too much of a smile, Ted.
Listen, believe me, this is, I don't want to bring this up, but I can't sign off on these quarterlies. I'm sorry. I just can't.
Her ethical sense got, reinvigorated.
If you're gonna do this, it can't be so glaring.
Oh, she's letting him throw under the rug.
I'm just saying, I can't sign it as it currently exists.
So this kind of contrasts or parallels with the previous scene.
You want to deal with this again, I swear.
Yeah, because she doesn't want any evidence, and the twins didn't want evidence either.
If my kids found out?
This,
And this parallels the situation with Walt too.
someday they're gonna be old enough. How would you explain it to them?
Yeah, that you were selling meth or committing fraud.
Put me on the spot, why don't you? Maybe I'd say that I might have feet of clay but that whatever I did thinking of them. You know?
Feet of clay. Never heard that one.
I'd ask him, try to take the time to understand. You know what? Truth is, I haven't thought that far ahead, Skyler. I'm just trying to keep my head above water. So.
Yeah, that way they're kind of opposites, him and Walt. Because Walt has a very lofty goal, and he does things to try to achieve that goal. Ted's just kind of more in the moment and is trying to keep things afloat.
What?
Lewis dropped him off. He was here when I got home.
Lewis?
No, of course. No, he's not staying. He understands that.
There are two sides to every story, always, but...
I think this Beneke storyline's going to come to play with Saul. And that's how Saul's going to get rid of her.
Yeah.
Or at least get her sidetracked.
It's just how it has to be. For now.
Everybody knows that you haven't done anything wrong. Everybody is on your side.
It's not about taking sides, though. Okay, we both love you very, very much. Okay, you and your sister will come first. Always.
Walt's taking responsibility here too.
I'll
I guess he's kind of gotten a bit of his vision back.
Let me first just hit the old bathroom here.
Good afternoon. Nice to meet you, Saul Goodman.
Nice to meet you.
Saul
You're not
Goodman?
that lawyer on late night television, are you?
Better call Saul.
He loves saying
I
that.
get it all the time.
We're here to discuss the sale of the property at 9809
Jessie is gonna make the move.
Get it? Flat fee clients, am I right?
Well, this is
Tough sell.
How could you possibly imagine that we would entertain this?
How?
I don't know.
He saw the
House
financials.
was in order once I heard about the meth lab. I used to be in the basement. I looked over your signed disclosure statements, and I don't see any mention of a meth lab. No. Oh, you got your termite inspection. That's good. No meth lab. Now, some would call that fraud in service of concealing a felony.
There's his play.
Myself, I'm more open-minded, but it is tricky. Good try.
That is
sneaking a meth-contaminated property past the buyer. I mean, could have been a good deal for you.
Yeah, it's very shady.
Now, I could file a suit and encumber this property indefinitely, or I could start some criminal proceedings. But I don't think any of us want that. Now, do we? How about it, counselor? You concur?
That face. Yeah, that's a big no-no. I mean, there is like a part on the home inspection sheet that has it on there, or we'd call it the house facts. If you lie on that, that's a big issue. Oh, you're playing your hand way too hard right here, Walt.
Pizza.
Well, I'm making dinner. We have discussed everything we need to discuss. I thought I made myself very clear.
So that's why Walt called her, because he wanted an in. Dipping sticks. Walt is far more awkward than I ever gave him credit for.
I really like that Hail Mary line.
There's a metaphor in there. He's got dough on the. You know, I thought that scene happened in season 1 because I've seen it like 6 times before. I don't know why, but apparently it happens this season.
Pretty popular meme.
Yeah. Well, at least it's not speedballing. There's the eyeball again.
Calm down, accept the situation, and keep your distance. If you can't manage that, I will get a restraining order.
Ow. That probably wasn't the best idea on Skyler's part.
Get your restraining order right here. Restrain this.
It's happened. We have the return of the best character on the show. The Tidy Whiteys.
Oh no, Pizza's vying for a position.
Breaking even's not so bad. In this economy, a lot of people would kill to break even.
Poor Jake, he had his heart set on going to space camp.
Oh, jeez. They're a little bit worse people than I thought they were.
This is all we need.
Mom?
He must have done that through a trust. How would he do this operation? Well, I guess fraud.
Jessie, it's really not a good time.
Oh, this is his big middle finger to them.
Jessie, the house has been sold.
Bought the place.
That really does not buy anything. Really should be wise with him. It's more of a blockade. You know, I said that he was probably neutral good. I'm starting to second guess that. Or maybe he was I forget how it works. Like lawful, slightly good. Oh, he's going to bug the place now. Because Saul, I guess, is worried that it's going to come back to him. You better not touch that fucking pizza. I swear.
What must he be thinking?
I definitely feel like this is going to be a plot point. And that's Walt's car. Is Walt... Oh, Walt's there to get the pizza? Or is he there to get the money back? Because he had a duffel bag with him. I think it was Walt Jr. stuff, but they made a weird point of it. He does seem very handy. What's he gonna think when he sees this? He knows the cleaner. The cleaner might be able to get a clean getaway, though. Oh, the crawl space. But you repaired the crawl space, so good luck getting out of that. There's no more deadwood. Plenty of cobwebs, though. I like how we established that he did know about the space, too. Because he spent some time down there. Oh, wait a second. It's got a back door. A hatch. That would probably make sense, now that I think of it. This reminds me a lot of Season 1, Episode 1, where it's just the little small things that keep, like, fucking them up. He came out through the front? God damn it, Walt. Is this the twin? These are the twins. Well, that was very coincidental. Okay, I don't understand their plan here. Unless they had info that what was there, it seems a little strange just to walk in like that. Oh, he is still there. Oh, they got a hatchet. But how would they just assume he's there, unless they were also tailing him?
Why wouldn't they assume he's there?
I mean, you're not
all
always going to be at home. It just seems a little presumptuous, because he could be somewhere else. No, they see a point of contention there. Where are they? Is he gonna be happy? He would know about that if he knew they were there. Why would you inform him? Walt is just like a train wreck this episode. They're gonna wait patiently for him to get out of there? Okay. That axe is way too shiny and not enough sharp. The eyeball. You brought the eyeball still. He's somewhat confident Skyler's not going to be back there. Unless that's what he wants. Is that a message from... Oh. Are they connected? No, they seem confused. He's saying that again. Did they... No. He's still a little bit thrown off. But they noticed the baby. That was another great episode of Breaking Bad. This episode, a lot happened, I think. Kind of. Maybe. It's like we had like the plot moving forward, but it's also kind of staying still. And that's kind of my initial impression. I think there's definitely a lot to dive in with the different items that happened. But I kind of feel like we're seeing a playing out of the plot points of the previous episode. Meader, I want to get your general opinion before we dive into each section.
It felt less like progression and more like reveal. So it's progression in the sense that we now understand more and have seen more, but not in the sense of movement of the characters' positions.
Yeah.
That's more like more the board is now we can see.
Yeah, I think the biggest instance of that would be the twins, because we kind of could see like where they're coming from, but we didn't know what piece they were exactly. We still don't know what piece they are really, but and I guess we kind of know more the dynamics and how these pieces kind of move essentially, or where they are moving, their momentum. So where do you think would be best to start off here?
Something ancillary.
Okay.
Maybe. I mean, we could either do Jesse's entire storyline or just the opening of Walt getting arrested or whatever.
Okay, so let's do Skyler first, and then we'll do Jesse, and then Walt, and then the twins, because the twins intersect with Walt later.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Okay, so starting with Skyler, I think we said Skyler first, right?
Those are the words you said. Yep.
Okay, sorry. It's late. I'm tired. So Skyler is still dealing with the burden of Walt, and she is trying to get him to maintain distance. She is being kind of hit from the different sidelines about what she should be doing. From Walt Jr., a bit from Hank, a bit from Marie to some degree. And she is pushing back, and she doesn't want to reveal really any information. She does let Walt Jr. be himself, which I think is good, because a lot of parents in those situations, they might fight back. Say, you don't understand, or, you should be grateful and stuff like that. But instead, she's letting him vent his frustration. And, I think it's good she's doing that. But it's hard to say how you should play the situation here. And I think Skylar's probably doing the best she can, but she's not doing that great at it. But, how well can you really do in this situation?
Yeah. No, I think that she's kind of just taken all of the weight herself. And I think there's nothing she really can do other than that right now.
Yeah. She's particularly in a bind because she can't reveal anything, because it could get to Hank, right? And I think beyond just not wanting to implicate Walt necessarily, because she probably still cares about him on some level, right? So it's probably a little bit of that there. But there's also the fact that kind of as Saul pointed out, if she does say something, it's probably going to blow right up in her face. Big scandal. The DA or whoever might come in, take the house, as some sort of asset forfeiture. It gets a little like a very into the weeds with complexities. And a big issue with that is she's got a baby. She's got, now she's taking care of Walt Jr. She's got a lot going on, and would probably be too much drama already on top of the drama that's there to deal with.
Yeah, she has a lot to think about right now, and it's put her in a very, very tight position.
Now, if you were in Skyler's position there, would you try to get Walt to back off in a similar manner?
I don't know, man. There's just been so much that's happened, so it's really hard to know. But it's really hard to put myself in that position, because I know more than she does. So to strip all of that away and dive down into what she knows. But I do think the whole Ted situation is interesting parallel, and maybe where she would have been if Walt had been honest from the beginning.
It's super interesting, because what happened there was, correct me if I'm wrong, Skyler called him out on some of the issues she saw, and Ted tried to get some information how to cover up his tracks, and she kind of said, not in writing, but I can't approve it this time, but if they do, and it's kind of like a silent collusion, and there's kind of two interesting parallels there. One was with the previous scene where the twins were kind of doing similar with Tio. They were kind of hiding information by not having any traces. That's kind of what Skylar's about here too, but also kind of with the Walt storyline. And I said during the reaction that Walt and Ted are kind of similar, but they're also kind of different. because Ted seems like more like he's just trying to deal with it every day to day, and it's kind of he's trying to stay above water by dealing the day to day and kind of doing evil from that way. Walt has these lofty goals and kind of expectation, and he's trying to avoid the day to day type stuff, and he ends up doing evil to kind of overcome that. So they're kind of like opposite ends of the spectrum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it was an interesting question from Skyler to ask Ted, like, what if your kids found out? I think she's trying to understand Walt through Ted. Like, why would Walt do this? And she's also trying to understand her own position. Like, what if Walt Jr. found out? What if, the baby Holly found out? What would that mean? How would you explain that away? How would she explain it? How would Walter explain it? I think she's trying to kind of understand.
It's kind of interesting because I understand her perspective, but it's also kind of weird because do you need to explain something in that situation? Or is the explanation for yourself? Because I don't think she knows where. Like, I don't think she could explain this to herself. So I think you're right. She's trying to understand this through Ted. And it's a similar situation. I almost wonder if she gravitated towards Ted for kind of that reason, where she saw a little bit of Walt in him. And she could kind of like grasp onto him more than he could onto Walt.
Yeah, maybe. But I think it's definitely an interesting parallels between the both of them doing, illegal things for what they say is the reason of others.
Right. So is there anything else with the Skyler storyline? I mean, she called about the pizza. I mean, I don't know why she was upset. I think it's a great, little upgrade to the house.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes, it was not, asked for, but it's kind of like, someone puts like a gold-plated bowl on your front lawn. You're really going to complain?
Well, the only other thing is that now Saul is tracking her.
Yeah.
Using the cleaner.
So with that, Saul, I'm trying to get the read on Saul there, because the only thing I can think is that Saul was worried that Skyler might become a snitch.
Yeah, I think he's, he took, because Walt said, she's a problem, and he told Walt, no, she's not. Don't worry about it. She's not going to do anything. Then he's like, I think that was him just talking his client down and being like, yeah, but I better keep an eye out on this.
Yeah. And Walt's not very, very, I think Saul was kind of impressed with Walt to begin with, and now he's just realizing his client is kind of insane and kind of imploding. So, he probably feels like he has to cover for her because Walt might make some mistake, i.e. sneaking into the house and taking a shower. That's going to get him into real trouble.
Yeah.
So I think Saul is 100% on there. I don't know how far Saul would be willing to go to kind of like protect himself, essentially. Like, I don't get the impression Saul would take out Skyler if it came to it, because it's kind of a little bit tenuous that it would go back to him. And plus, Saul has plenty of other clients, I assume, that have done similar, shitty stuff, and he's not so worried about that. But it still might be a worry he has. But I don't know if he'd execute on it. I don't think he would.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like he's trying to stay ahead of it before it gets to that situation to begin with.
I see. Because then you could, I mean, at the very least, even if he doesn't put a hit out or kind of do anything, he could distance himself from Walt or kind of shred the evidence or something like that. Okay. So the Saul storyline was kind of funny. Just going over to Saul. Saul was very out of his okay, I'm not going to say he was out of his element, but he just was having a hard time this episode.
Yeah, I mean, he seemed very much in his element. I think Saul sees things from Saul's perspective very, very clearly, and has a hard time shifting that to, if he can't change somebody else's mind with logical reasoning, he's like, there's nothing more I can do here.
That's true. He's a pure businessman, which is partly why I love him. And he does, I guess he accounts for his risks as well, He's like, okay, I see the Walt perspective as a risk right now, and also I see it as a potential opportunity because Walt has a lot of, like he's a genius when it comes to making meth. So, from Saul's having a hard time understanding what's going on. I mean, he gets it, but he's also just kind of like, I don't know how to talk to you, Walt.
Yeah, it's more of you're in a position that I can't really do anything about, so I'm just gonna leave type of situation.
And then we also had the situation where, like it was kind of funny when Jessie kind of like said, "Hey, I got a job for you," and then Saul was just like taken back. It's like, wait, what? Like,
Yeah, I mean, he had just spent a bunch of time explaining to Jessie like that he doesn't think Jessie has any value, pretty much. He's like, Walt built this whole thing all by himself, single-handedly, and now he just wants to walk away. And he's like, you have nothing that you need to worry about. You're a young single dude, just living your life, no worries at all. Like, so Saul like clearly just does not understand Jessie even a little bit.
Yeah, I see, because he hasn't had any like, I guess the same thing as Gus. Like Gus discarded Jessie as a junkie, and in some respects that has been true, at least the last season. But I think we know as an audience that that's not true, and Jessie was a big part of why Walt got super successful with this whole meth business. Like they're two sides of the same coin, or that's not true. They both need each other to kind of be successful, and Jessie was a very big enabler of that.
Yeah, and I mean, he didn't seem to take too much offense to being completely brushed over there by Saul. But I think it did show that Saul doesn't really understand Jessie at all.
I think he may have taken it worse if it wasn't for the fact that he had a bunch of money in his hand right there. And also maybe for the fact that he had just come to some sort of realization about who he was. That realization, of course, be negative, but, if you kind of set yourself at a bar super low, when someone tells you that you're kind of like worthless, you're kind of like, huh, okay. What's he got?
Well, I think he also has that. I think maybe he doesn't only have that expectation of himself, but he thinks that's how the world views him. And that he does, last thing he said to Walt was, I understand now, I'm the bad guy. So like, I think that's what allows him to take that verbal berating, because he kind of probably feels like he deserves it, and then B, what allows him to do what he does to his parents.
Oh, I see.
He's like, I'm the bad guy, fuck it. Like,
yeah, I did think that was a little bit aggressive what he did there, and we'll cover Jesse's storyline more in depth here, but yeah, that definitely makes sense of that interaction, because he has the it's not that. Yes, he's taking a beating. He's okay with being more berated now, but it's also like he's okay with the action he's about to take, and because he is the bad guy.
Well, I think he also justifies it with his interaction with his father before that. That kind of leads him to that.
So let's say we get into the Jesse storyline. So he goes back home and he drives there. I think he was maybe looking for a place to stay. It's a little hard to know. But he noticed that the house sign said for sale, and he's like, oh, interesting. And he has a little back and forth with his father, and his father seemed like he was trying to like let Jessie back into the life a little bit, but also kind of putting up a little bit of a wall there. Does that seem accurate to you?
Yes.
Okay. And then Jessie wants to see inside, but then the father kind of puts a stop to that, because like, I don't want you to get too hopeful here that this house is for you, because I know where it's gonna go, and it's almost like that story of Odysseus and the sirens. Like, if Jessie gets in there and sees his child, clean shaven and wide eyed, he might just give in to giving him the house back. Maybe that's an overread, but maybe that's part of it.
I think that might be a little much, but yeah, I think they are cautious. I think Jessie was trying to come back and say like Jessie genuinely did not seem like he wanted anything from them. I did not read he needs somewhere to stay at all. I mean, the guy has $750,000. Like, he doesn't need to beg for a handout. I read it as he was earnestly happy for them and whatever decisions they were making.
Hmm.
Because that's what he had said. He had been like it seemed very genuine when he said, "Good for you guys." Like when they said they were selling the place, they had done all these renovations. It did not seem to me like he was asking for anything, but rather like he was genuinely trying to reconnect with his family.
I have to think about that because I think I agree with you, but I'm also a little bit uncertain because it seems like he was trying to get a hook in there too. And I'll back down a bit on maybe the thought that he was trying to crash there. I think it's still possible, but you are right. He was going to get the money, right? What reason would he have to crash there when he could just go to Walt's place or go to a hotel? I mean, besides maybe he's just wants to stay somewhere for free, but no, I think you're right at that. So I think maybe I'll walk back to he was being just kind of like happy for them or just kind of like objective and neutral, but I do feel like he was throwing a couple hooks out there.
Oh, he does. I mean, he wanted to get back with his family. He wanted to have his family back, I think, because I think that more than anything, relationships are what's most important to Jessie. And he wanted to try and build a relationship again with people who he would probably have the best opportunity to actually do that. But I think his dad hasn't had the experience of meeting a fully clean, actually somewhat changed Jessie who's not there for a handout. So he's assuming that's what he's looking for, much as you were. But I think Jessie was earnestly coming hat in hand, not trying to do that, just wanting a relationship. And the dad thought he wanted something more. That's what I read there.
I think you're probably more on the money with that. And I guess there's a distinction there, or a contrast between him and Walt, because Walt just wants to be back with his family, and it doesn't happen. He just gets more irritated. Jessie wants to be with his family. His family rejects him, kind of in a different way than Walt's fan, but. Jessie's just like, oh, you're gonna like reject me this way? Well, fuck you. Here's the bird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm moving back in.
And that drives an even bigger wedge into that situation too, because the family's now going to be like, where'd you get this money?
Will they though?
Oh yeah, they'll know. They're right.
Will they? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. They know there's a meth lab in the basement. Never mind.
It was nice that he's like, "Oh, you did all these renovations for me. Thank you for free." Pretty much, right?
That's very true. he got quite the steal there. And I wonder if he came up with that plan or if Saul came up with that plan. Probably a bit of both. But they had insider knowledge, and we're a little bit confused. Is the lawyer okay? So they go to the table there with the lawyer, and there's an anonymous bidder, and the family is super happy, and the other lawyer guy or realtor, whatever he is, he started the financials of it, so he's like, oh hey, this is gonna be great. I guess maybe he didn't see the full financials, or maybe he saw 400,000. This thought this is enough. So is that your kind of reading? Or
my reading is that he saw that he had a lot of cash.
Okay, and that was good enough.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's on the sale for 800,000 or 850, I think it was, and it's pretty high sale price, especially back then. So his parents got some money, especially if they put 400,000 into upgrading it. I mean, that's pretty extreme. But they made one. I don't know whose fault this was. It looks like it's one of the parents, but they admitted that there's a meth lab in the basement. That's a big no-no.
Yeah, it goes back to that thing where everybody in this show does illegal shit. Some bigger, some smaller, but everybody's doing it.
Yeah, I thought Jesse's parents were like good, like good people, and maybe they're still all right? But yeah, that is kind of fucked up that they just like, oh yeah, let's just pawn off this meth house, and that's probably why they wanted to sell it too. I mean, beyond the obvious reasons, but it's like, yeah, there's a meth basement here. Let's just get rid of this. Also, we're pretty sure that someone got flushed down the toilet.
Yup, $450,000 mistake.
So then Jesse, he walks in with the keys like a badass. And again, a little bit of juxtaposition there with Walt, because Walt is locked out of his house. So I think my prediction this season was partially that like Jesse's gonna be more up on the rise and Walt's gonna be on the downfall, and so far it's panning out that way.
Yeah, and I mean they started in opposite positions, so like I think it made sense that they were able to, they both had the opposite direction to move. Jesse really didn't have much lower he could go.
That's true. I mean, in my opinion, if they made him any lower, it would just be kind of not fun to watch.
Who knows? They would have to make him like a villain.
Oh, that's true. Which
is totally possible. They could make him and Walt directly against each other. They could have him drag Walt down with him into the abyss. Like I think there are things he could have done, but I think that it makes more sense to have him go up, especially if you're going to bring Walt down or vice versa.
One thing I wonder for Jesse is what's going to happen when his moral compass gets like pushed. Because, you could say the thing with the parents. I mean, I think the parents kind of deserve that, right? I mean, they're trying to commit this fraudulent activity, and I think you got like a good one in on them. Was it kind of shady to do or kind of weird? Sure, whatever. But I don't think it's really that bad, like ethically. But my question is, when we have like a real moral dilemma, where maybe we have another situation like with Tuco or with Crazy 8 or something, where you have to kill somebody or do something really fucked up, is Jesse going to roll with it and say, I'm the bad guy? Or is he going to feel like he has this weight now to choose because he is the bad guy, but he has the option now not to be the bad guy?
It's interesting.
Because you might think he's leaning more towards evil now, but I don't think he is. But anyway, so let's go on to the next character here, which is going to be Walt Jr. Not too much to touch on with him. I think everything Walt Jr. is saying and feeling is completely realistic. I think it makes sense. I feel for him. And yeah, I don't think there's anything like super interesting in there, but I think, it's important to the plot. And the actor does a very good job explaining those feelings and situations.
His name change, I think, would be the only thing to touch on.
Oh yeah. And we kind of touched upon that a little bit before, where Skyler was kind to distance Walt Jr. from Walt to some degree by calling him, I don't know, what was Mason or something like that.
Flynn. I don't know. I don't know
Flynn.
that she was doing that.
Well, she was purposely referring to him as Flynn, which I guess maybe was established prior.
I mean, he asked for that. She's just like calling him whatever he's asking to be called.
Okay. I'll back down on this one because
we can just disagree, but maybe she has ulterior motives as well. From your perspective, I think she's just calling him what he's asking to be called.
I mean, I think it's a little bit of both. But I think whether it was like, I think it's kind of flipped. First, it was kind of respect or whatever, and then a bit of like, being nice or trying to distance. So, okay. But yeah, that's another point right there. So, next storyline, you think it'd be better to talk about the twins first? And then maybe Walt?
You could touch on Hank and Marie real quick as well, just like you did Walt Jr.
Oh yeah, so Hank was bro. He bailed Walt out. It seems like Hank definitely agrees more with Skyler's side. Though I can think he more just wants to be left out of it. But then he heard about the whole thing with the kids, and Hank is kind of like, Skyler, a little bit fucked up there. Come on.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which I think Hank would think differently if he knew what was involved in, but this is the whole, like, lie within a lie.
Yeah. Yeah, and then he has his own theories as to what happened, which Marie does not agree with.
Right. And I think you're right. I think Marie does have she has a good understanding of her sister, but I think she just has good people sense too. Like, there's got to be something more going on here. This seems a little bit much for, like, a cheating kind of thing. Also, Walt had a baby on the way and everything. cancer. Like, I don't know. It kind of throws some of my flags out there, but Hank can't see Walt for who he truly is quite yet.
Yeah, no, for sure. But it's always interesting to see how Marie is so free thinking and sees things for one step further than what is being presented to her. She sees through a lot of things, and it continues to push Hank to see things differently.
She's almost like a lens for Hank.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I kind of agree with Hank in general. You know, I think if there's like some sort of divorce or something like that, you got to be very mindful of the kids and everything. You know, either way. I think in this situation, I think, you know, Sky would be in the right, and maybe she doesn't want to give away information. And, you know, I think I agree with what Skyler's doing, but I think in general, you got to be. I don't think Hank's response is really that off, you know, base.
Mm-hmm. No, I don't think so either.
Especially with his perception of Walt, who hasn't really done much.
Yeah.
And so then from there, let's cover the twins. So, twins, we find out that it seems like the people there in the police department or DEA, they kind of know about these twins a little bit. They seem to have some familiarity with them. No?
No.
I thought they had like a code name for them. Like that was already existing.
No, they have, they were talking about the smuggler. The guy who was transporting the illegals.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I misunderstood that.
Yeah, they were trying to nab that smuggler for a couple of years now. And then now this time they find him, he's murdered. Everybody else is murdered.
Oh, I see. Okay, so that guy was a smuggler, the guy who was the American guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then, okay, so they nabbed him, but, you know, everyone died. And Hank correctly assumed that someone found out something they weren't supposed to find out.
Yeah. Yeah, because there was no drugs on board, because that's what Gomez thought. He said, okay, so obviously, if this is what happened, it wasn't just people they were transporting. And Hank's like, nope, it is. It was just that. And they're like, well, why'd they send this to us? He's like, they didn't. I pulled this specifically because I think this is connected.
Okay.
Which is it's just Hank being very good at his job to connect something completely unrelated to what their business is.
I think Hank's kind of like a laser pointer. Like if he knows the context and can kind of see like he's very good at pinpointing certain things, but he has to have the context in which to like aim.
Yeah, and I think he has blind spots that he can't get over. I.e. Walt.
Yeah, which is a very understandable blind spot. I mean, why would he assume he's become a criminal, you know, mastermind or something?
Suddenly, yeah.
Definitely not a mastermind, though.
It's also good to note that they brought up that the blue meth has been missing. And that's because Walt stopped cooking. So now we know blue meth has dried up in the market. So when will market demand become massive? To the point maybe Gus ups his offer?
Okay, let me think about that here real quick. Yeah, okay. Because I thought for a second that wasn't true, because I thought they were just putting the meth other places, but that's right. They were tracking it, and of course, where they're tracking now, it's not shown up either. And this also may be a reason for Saul and also Gus to kind of push forward on this meth business, because they see a demand in the market most likely, and they're like, we have to fill this demand, and we don't have the means to.
And the implication, specifically from when Walt and Gus had initially made this deal, was that Walt had said, you can charge 2, 3, 4 times what you're charging now. So the idea is that for Gus, this is not only a great business opportunity, but this is like being able to take your profit margins and double, triple them. So this is like, I can imagine, very, very big for Gus to be able to at least understand how this is made and get back to something close to it. It's a product nobody else is offering. He has a competitive advantage, which in business, it's everything.
And I guess there's a risk reward opportunity there, but I guess the risk is low enough for him to offer. Also Gus is very secretive. Speaking of secretive, we have the twins. They're super secretive.
Yeah, go ahead.
Have they talked yet? Nope. How do they communicate? Ouija boards.
Well, I mean, Tio couldn't talk either. Hector can't talk, so it was kind of perfect.
So I think two things here. I think that these twins are the cousins that Tuco was talking about back in season 2. I think there's enough to infer that, at least through the connection to Tio. I think Tio probably is the one that kind of sent out the line on this.
Okay.
I mean, it could be somebody else too, just getting word that Tuco died and trying to investigate. But I think it was probably Tio, is my guess. You seem a little bit like... No? Okay. Sorry. I thought you had something to say there.
No.
So they're up there and they're there for a hit. It definitely seems like they want to just kill Walt. And they find out where he lives pretty easily. And I kind of don't get the logistics of this a little bit here, because they just show up to his house and just like wait out on the, outside while he's taking a shower, him being Walt. I mean, I get it's a little bit dramatic, but I think there's just a lot of assumptions there that they knew Walt was home, that they knew Walt was in the shower. I mean, it could have been somebody else, Skyler, for instance. I think this is a lot of...
Except he was actively singing.
Okay, that's a good point.
The front door was unlocked, so that implies somebody's home.
Well,
his car was in the yard, which I wouldn't imagine would be very difficult. If you have a guy's name and can find his address, you can know what he drives.
Okay.
They could have also been casing and waiting for him to show up, specifically. So I personally don't see the cognitive disconnect there, but
it just seems like a super hard play for something that may not work out and may implicate you a lot. Like, I can get it if you're in the middle of the desert and you blow up a car like he did. Like, I think that makes sense. But here, like, if they start murdering people, like, yes, they've been very careful, but it seems like it's more like a sacrifice than anything. They're willing to sacrifice themselves for it. That's the only thing I could think. Either that or they're really, really careful, but obviously not, because they're seen going in. So
okay.
But anyway, so they are there just waiting for Walt. It's kind of funny how they're just sitting there, just like, like, it may have made sense to kill him in the shower, because then at least the blood has somewhere to drain. But they're probably going to take him hostage, though, really, because then they can dispose of him somewhere else, now that I think of it. But anyway, they get a call from, or a text from somebody that we assume is Gus, because Saul's person, the cleaner, saw that something was going down, and he's like, shit, this isn't good. And so it seems like he had a connection to Gus, and then Gus knows these people and kind of called them. So there's a bit of a knowledge triangle going on here, but it kind of implies that the twins are a separate party, but they're a party that is connected to Gus at the very least. They might be part of it. You seem like you can't say much there.
I mean, what do you want me to say?
Talk about the twins and what we think of them at the moment.
No, I think you're making all fair assumptions. The cleaner's connection with Gus is super interesting. I think because we know he's connected with Saul, and we know that Saul is the one who's connected with Gus. So is the cleaner the connection that Gus and Saul have?
So the cleaner might be like a general purpose cleaner and not just like a single entity cleaner.
Right. Yeah, he may not just work for Saul. It's clear he has at least some interest in whatever's going on with Gus, because he puts his neck out and makes a phone call about it.
The interesting scene there was when they showed Gus, and he was like in a dry cleaner essentially. So probably just laundering money, we'd assume. Where he was exactly, though, I don't know. Was that in the States or was that somewhere else? The people looked like they were Hispanic, if I recall correctly. So, but we're also on the border too, so it seems pretty likely that they would be there.
Does he need to launder money? I mean, he has a chicken business.
I think he does, right? Because
wouldn't he launder it through Los Pollos?
I'm not certain. I assume it's part of it. Like I assume he has multiple businesses, and also he's cleaning money, is what I assumed. Maybe he's cleaning product too. I don't know.
Are you talking about physically?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Walt do that too. Because you clean the money that way, it's not dirty and doesn't have any fingerprints or whatever on it. Maybe I'm talking out my ass.
I think so.
Okay, it's fine. Well, what else would he be doing there at a dry cleaner?
Cleaning money.
Okay, wouldn't he own a money business? If like, is this some random?
Yeah. He would have a vested interest in the Fed.
Okay. So let's move on to the last storyline, unless there's anything about the twins or anything. No. Okay. Walt. So give me a little bit about Walt.
Walter White is a man with a bald head and whitey tighties who grabbed his crotch and threw a pizza.
I mean, we got two great things this episode. I mean, number one, El Pollo with the crotch grabbing, and we got the pizza on the roof. I mean, what else do we need?
He had dipping sticks.
Listen, I didn't know it could get any better, but you just reminded me it could.
Yeah, that was a very good line. A very good last ditch. I have dipping sticks, and then shut lock.
Dipping sticks.
I mean, he starts out, fighting with a cop for pretty much nothing. I think that was just like a mental breakdown over losing his family.
I think part of what it was is that I think you're right. It was a mental breakdown, but the issue that the cop pulled him over for was that the windshield was completely busted. And it's like Walt tried to pretend like it wasn't busted, or he had an excuse for it and everything, and just, I don't know. Like Walt didn't have any cares about that. He was pretending like it wasn't there. And I think more so what the police officer did was he forced Walt to look at something he didn't want to look at, which is partly the reason why Walt kept on bringing up this whole plane incident, because that's been hanging over his head like the whole just like this last episode. Like he still feels responsible for that, and like he's still off on a tirade about it because he's trying to get himself off culpability wise.
Yeah, and I mean he was playing the victim to this thing that happened that was really his fault in a way. So it's super interesting. I think that's a really good point on your part, that he was making him own responsibility for it, and he didn't want to own responsibility for it.
And we saw a couple characters with that little that little thing on there.
Pretty much everybody who wasn't a main part of the plot, had it.
Right. And it kind of goes back a little bit to the vision here. And I think we see Walt kind of gain his vision back a little bit. He kind of starts looking at things more realistically. But then I also think we start seeing him lose his vision kind of later in the episode. So like when he's talking to Saul, I think he is being very real about things. I think when he's talking to Hank, he's being very real about things. Like he got pepper sprayed. He didn't see that coming somehow. And it's kind of, I think, the same thing from this whole vision shit. It's almost like he's crying. It's almost like he's having his outburst. And this is kind of his coping with it. He calls Hank, which is kind of interesting because I think you've said before, like, you can always rely on Hank, and that's another instance of that. And also, it's probably easier to get out of jail with a cop, or a DEA agent. So a little bit strategic there too. And then he's hearing Hank talk about him and everything that's happened, and it's like he had an interesting face on him during that scene. Do you remember that scene?
Mm-hmm.
What was that face exactly? Because I have my own idea, but I want to hear yours.
I don't know. Because I had expected it, because Hank was pretty much saying, take pity on the guy. And that's like the bane of Walt's existence. But then Walt ends up apologizing. So I thought Walt would be mad about all of that, but he wasn't. He just seemed to be like, I don't know. Maybe he actually wanted to be pitied in that moment, which is interesting because it's completely against his character.
Yeah, that convinces me a bit there, because that seems like a good fit. I also feel like it's kind of like a little bit like Jessie in some regard, because I think Walt is kind of looking at his place where he is, and he's kind of realizing right now he's at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's pretending like he wants to be on top and kind of up here, but now he just realizes, like, I don't have shit, man. Oh wait, what am I doing? Like, I'm just like a loser right now, and it's kind of a lens for Walt to understand how he's perceived. Whereas I think Walt's been not very concerned with how people perceive him up to this point.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I can agree with that. I think he's been hyper concerned with how people perceive him. Like, that's been one of his biggest concerns. He needed to control how people see him in order to do what he's done, and to lie the way he's lied. He needed to understand how everyone was seeing him at every moment, and he hated anybody who perceived him in a way that was lesser than how he was perceiving himself.
So maybe that's the distinction there. He's still concerned about how people perceive him, but now he can't back up his false narrative of how he actually is, at least at this moment.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of in a raw situation at the moment.
All right. He's very, caught up over this whole thing with Walt Jr. and the baby not being able to see them.
Yeah.
And then he sees Walt Jr. and he gets, lit up and everything. He's super happy. Actually, before that, though, we had a weird scene with the pool.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think there's something going on there. It's like, there are all these metaphors with, like, water and cleaning and stuff like that. I just want to touch base on that, because he essentially passes by this community pool and he, like, grabs the little cleaner thing and takes something out of it. I think that happened once in season 1. And I also believe it happened once or twice in season 2. And then we also, of course, have the thing in season 3 with... Was it season 3? Yeah, I think it was season 3, with the eyeball and the bear and everything. So there's something weird going on out of there, and maybe he's just trying to, like, find himself in the wreckage.
Yeah, maybe. It was a Band-Aid. He took a Band-Aid out of the pool. And maybe it was old habits. He's used to doing that for his own pool, so he's just doing that because this is where he stays, so he still takes the pride in where he's staying in the pool. It's probably something with the water as well, keeping the water clean. But this is after he's done. This is kind of like when he's back on. I think he's on an upswing. Like, he hits the bottom at the beginning and middle of the episode, and then he starts heading back up on the back end of it. And this is on that back end.
Yeah, I think it's honestly Walt Jr. that kind of set him off on that, upswing. I think, I think he was realizing he's at a low, and then he kind of starts, planning accordingly. That, like, it's okay, this is where I am. I need to act accordingly. Be rational. But then he sees Walt Jr. and his emotions start getting involved, and then Walt Jr. kind of starts talking him up a lot, and then Walt kind of starts giving into this sort of fantasy. We see him, kind of get the idea in his head, ding, and then he's like, okay, time to get the mouthwash out. That way I don't smell booze, and let's try to have a nice family dinner here. Like he's going off on, like, a complete long shot in a fantasy, and it's really painful to watch.
I don't know where your whole booze thing came from. I don't think there was any indication of that prior to him leaving his old house.
You think he was just trying to clean up there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we know at some point because that was the next day. We know at some point between the 2 days he got his car fixed, and he was just returning back home. So I don't know how he would have just gotten home and had been drinking. If he was at work, then he got his windshield fixed, and then he went home. I don't know how he would have even had time to drink.
Okay. Yeah, you're right about that. It seems highly unlikely. It's implied that he was drinking on later in the episode, which
later when he passed out for sure.
I assumed he was drinking like all through that point, like just kind of recklessly, but I don't think that's right. I think he was sober, kind of like Jessie was a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't think he drank until he got rejected by Skyler. I think that's when he was drinking.
Yeah. Okay. So from there, he goes in with Skyler and they have a little back and forth. Doesn't go very well.
He has a way too big pizza.
Is he like compensating for something? No. I mean, we saw part of the pollo. I mean, at least the outline, and we know. We know he's got something great there.
Okay.
Meader, save me.
Let's pivot. So then the pizza ends up on the roof. So that you said that's a big metaphor.
Yeah, completely.
For having the dough hanging over their head.
Yeah. Let's go with that. Yeah.
Like he has this too big pizza, right? Which is all this dough and this cheddar, and it's all up on the roof. It's all over their head, right? She doesn't even know it's there. But he does. He's the one who put it there. And this could be great. This could feed their family, but she rejects it, even though he has dipping sticks. And then she's mad about it when she finds out about it. She's like, why didn't you mention this? Like, what do you get a hold of yourself? Get yourself under control.
God damn it. I threw out the metaphor as a joke there, and now you made it serious.
Yeah. Well, I had to save you from that weird pollo thing.
I don't know what you're talking about. And let's be very clear, like, I think it is a metaphor. You know, dough, cheddar, that's all you really need for a good metaphor is ingredients to a pizza.
Yeah. Although you usually don't use cheddar on a pizza, you use mozzarella, but
I mean,
mozzarella.
Okay. It's a 3 cheese pizza.
She she hangs up, and then like a good 15 seconds later, he picks up the phone and yells at her. It's like he wasn't even close to getting to the phone in time.
And I find it very surprising she called him. But at the same time, she's probably like, I don't have a ladder. No, I actually did have a ladder. Fell in Walt's dick. I don't have like I don't know. I don't want to go up on this ladder. So
she doesn't deal with it. We know.
Yeah. I mean, she's kind of in a hurry too, I guess. But there's the pizza there. And that pizza, I know I've seen that scene before. I thought it actually happened in the earlier seasons because I saw it a number of different times and I just assumed it happened in the early seasons. But it seems like it happens in season 3, which I find surprising.
Yep, that's exactly when it happens.
It's really hilarious because I was about to bring it up. I was going to bring it up in one of our season discussions, saying like, I think we might have missed an episode because I didn't see the pizza scene yet.
Yeah, well, now you've seen it. Now you can, and it's full context.
And the context is, it's great. So next we have the scene with Walt just being, we already talked about it a little bit, but he's like hungover. He's been drinking or something. We don't know what he's been doing, but it's probably just drinking, given Walt. And I think this episode, we see a bit of a motif where Walt's getting very overwhelmed, or he's getting like the death by 100 paper cuts, essentially, or by 1,000 paper cuts. And this is kind of the stuff he was kind of having issues with in the first season. Dealing with these little trifles of life. Like, for instance here, the whole pizza thing, right? He tries to throw the pizza, ends up on the roof. He's just like, he hits his head on the table when he tries to go, answer the phone for Skyler, and also just does it poorly. He sneaks into this little place, and then he, kind of this, and then the ladder falls on him and everything. There's all these little things that happen, just like tiny little inconveniences that just kind of throw him off. And I'm sure during each one of them, he's just like, this is why I did this, to avoid this kind of shit. And now he's having to deal with it more and more.
Yeah, I mean, Skyler changed the locks, so he broke into his own house.
Yep. And like we said earlier, there's that kind of contrast there. Jesse gets into his own house, Walt's locked out.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Walt gets in through the basement, or the crawl space, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And kind of sketchy there, Walt. I mean, what was Walt thinking?
That he wanted to be in his own house.
Okay. Not anything beyond that, though?
What do you think?
I don't know. I couldn't read if it was delusion, if he's just trying to pretend like nothing has happened. If he's just like, this is my own house, I'm going to have, kind of like a pride thing. Like, oh, let me try to do the Walt impression. This is my house. I, of course, am going to take a shower in my own house because it's mine. I have pride and dignity. That could be the emotion there.
Well, I mean, he got super dirty climbing into the house, so he needed a shower at that point.
Okay, well, that's a point right there.
And he had a bunch of bags with him.
That's right.
Yeah, his car was filled with a bunch of bags.
Is he moving back in there? That's weird. If he's planning to move back in there, that would be extremely strange. And that's
one hell of a power move, though.
I don't know if that's denial or power. I don't know what that would be. I don't have a read on that.
How do you think Walt would feel about his home being tapped? Whether he's living there or not. Because he doesn't know.
I think he would have... It's hard to say how he would react in general, but I think how he would react right now is I think he needs to show... Like, he's trying to latch onto anything with his family and trying to be a family man, trying to support that narrative. So I think he would get defensive of his family. He'd be something like, you dare tap my family's house where they live? What? Are you going to peep on them showering? On them eating? On them taking a shit? I don't understand this. You are evil. I think he would lay into them. Number one, to kind of put the moral responsibility or blame off himself, because he needs somebody to call a villain right now. But also, I think he would just kind of use an excuse to kind of pump himself up as a family man and try to retain something there, some sort of pride he has.
Yeah, I think that's probably super accurate.
I think season 1 Walt, though, he would act a little bit different. I think he would have a similar, maybe position, but I don't think he would be nearly as extreme, and I think he would just be more, willing to accept, the brunt. You'd be kind of like the golf apartment falling down. He'd just be willing just to put it back up and just kind of deal with it.
Yeah.
It'd just be an inconvenience.
The question is, would season 1 Walt have gotten dipping sticks?
I think he's really grown in that way.
I agree.
Yeah. And I think the best way to grow your YouTube channel is by telling people, hey, subscribe, leave a like, comment, and say, hey guys, guess what? Actually, there's anything else to cover? I don't want to just move into it.
No, I mean, I think I agree with you. Like and subscribe, and leave a comment that says, Meader, we forgive you. You're right all along about Lewis. I mean, how could he drop Junior off at Walt's place? What is he thinking?
I didn't understand anything what you just said there. I'm gonna pretend like nothing bad ever happened.
Okay.
Am I driving with a windshield that's completely cracked? Completely. But is that okay? Yeah, I think this is what the episode kind of showed us. So, just pretend like everything's all right. Go to my Patreon and just donate all the money in your bank account, and just pretend like you have a lot of money. Worst case scenario, you can get in through the basement and get hit in the ladder on your dick if you have a dick. If you don't, well, too bad.
You won't get to experience that ladder on your dick.
I mean, it's quite the experience. I feel like I've adopted your sense of humor for this episode.
It seems maybe. Comment, subscribe.
Wait. Hold on, I can do it. Hold on. I gotta get my fingers ready though. And if you want to see more reactions like this, I don't know, do what you want to do, because I am Pepin. I react, you react, we react. Who are we? We are a legion that call ourselves Pepin Reacts. Peace. You guys have a great day.